Hi, I'm David Myers. I'll be your instructor for Introduction to Ethics. It is Friday, 21 August 2015. The new semester starts on Monday, and I just thought I'd get a jump and get this video made so that you will be able to, one, get to know me a little bit, and two, hear my course expectations and an overview of Introduction to Ethics. First things first, you should already have your textbook. It will look something like this, or possibly this. This is the one that the bookstore is carrying. It is Ethics, Theory, and Practice, the 11th edition by Jacques Thoreau and Keith Krasman. Any of these editions will work for the course. You don't need the fancy edition. You don't need the key to unlock it. Any video that you need, I have linked to the course, and you should have no real problem accessing anything. That being said, I'd like you to, well, I don't know that you can watch this video and look at your syllabus at the same time. You should have printed a copy of your syllabus out. If you have, follow along. If not, just listen and go back and review it when you're done. But the syllabus is as follows. Fall semester, first 8 weeks, 24 August through 14 October. I am David Myers, and I have been teaching ethics for many, many years, ethics and philosophy. And I am honored to be teaching this course, and I hope you will enjoy it. Course description, we've got the boilerplate stuff written right in, but the course serves as a general introduction to ethical issues. In it, the student will begin developing a basic understanding of standard ethical theories. The course develops one's sense of ethical and civic responsibility by developing the student's capacity to identify, discuss, and reflect upon the ethical dimensions of political, social, personal life, and to understand the ways in which they can exercise reasonable and productive citizenship. This course also aids in developing critical thinking skills by developing thinkers who are able to unify factual, creative, rational, and value-sensitive modes of thought. There are no prerequisites, although sometimes I think an introduction to philosophy would be very, very helpful. Measurable course outcomes. Critical thinking is the main one. Ethical and civic responsibility. These are two incredibly important aspects of each and every one of our lives. And we are hoping that this course will help to develop these things in you. Although honestly, you've already developed an ethical compass. Whether you know that or not, you already have values. This course is not designed to force you to think the way I think or any of your other instructors think. This course isn't designed to change your mind or your opinion, but it's not enough to know what your opinion is. You need to be able to describe why your opinion is what it is. You need to be able to give an explanation. And that's what this course will help you to do. Methods to assess competence. We're going to have required reading, objective examinations. There's a writing project. I know students hate writing projects, but it's important. There will be exercise for review questions and discussion boards. And we'll talk more about that later on. Some housekeeping. There are no proctors required for the exams. This means that each of you is on your honor. This is an ethics course to complete your exams without your notes or any other materials. Now, that being said, the exams may be taken open book, but you may not use your notes. I'll explain why. Cheating is a ground for immediate failure. Um, when we get to testing issues, you'll understand why I say no open notes. Uh, as far as the grade breakdown, reading is worth 10% of your grade. There's a schedule to tell you what needs to be read and when it needs to be read. This course is a discussion course, and you're taking it online. But it relies heavily on discussion. In order to participate in the discussion, it is essential that you keep up with the assigned reading. Now, we have discussion boards, and I expect you to take part in the discussions. You can't do that if you haven't done the reading. Not to mention the fact that the reading is worth 10% or 10 points. And there's a reading report that you'll turn in at the end of the course. And don't panic. It's not what some instructors require. It's not an explanation of each and everything that you've read. All I want is a paragraph put into Word format that simply says, I, your name, have completed 100% or 60% or 30%, whatever you complete of the reading, period. That's it. Now, I have to tell you that if you tell me you completed 20% of the reading, you're going to get 2 points, just 2. I have to throw this in there because a couple of years back, I had a student that actually got angry with me and filed a grievance with the dean. Actually, not with the dean, but with the department chair, because the student thought that I was being unfair because the student was honest and said they only completed 20%, and that honesty deserved 10 whole points. And this student then went on in this email and this complaint to say that they should have just lied. Well, lying in an ethics course. Needless to say, the grievance and complaint was thrown out. But from now on, I have to stress what you tell me is what you get. If you say you completed 100% of the reading, 10 points. If you say you completed no reading, 0 points. And I might point this out, there's always one in each class. If you do not turn a report in, it's 0 points. I can't help that. I'll remind you several times that the report is due. It's listed in several places when it's due, but someone will invariably forget. And that's a whole letter grade. And so please get it turned in. It's an easy 10 points. Discussions. Each student will begin a thread for each section and respond to 2 other threads per section. This will help the student get more involved with his or her classmates and will make the material more practical. Because frankly, what good is an ethics class if it isn't practical? In fact, my personal definition is, you'll see when you watch the videos, my personal definition of ethics is it is the practical aspect of your own personal philosophy. Practical application. And so, the discussions will help tie it in and make it more real, more practical. Exams. There are 3 exams because I break the course into 3 sections. Each exam covers 4 chapters of the textbook. Each section has a corresponding examination, and each test is worth 10 points. And so when you total the test up, 30 points. That's a lot. Now, that being said, this is a hard course. It's not hard in its requirements, per se, but the reading is difficult. Students complain about this textbook. They complain and complain and complain until they get to Chapter 8 because it's difficult. The reading is difficult. And what I don't want is in the discussions, I don't want to hear you complaining about how difficult the reading is. Welcome to college. It's a philosophy class. Yes, the reading is difficult. I have chosen this textbook out of literally hundreds and hundreds of other textbooks because Thoreau is the least biased author I was able to find. He does have an agenda. However, he shows all sides of an issue, and that's very important to me, and I think it's very important ultimately to you. And so I know the first 7 chapters are very difficult because you haven't had a background in philosophy, and this brings up consequential and non-consequential concepts, very important concepts. And so there is a reason I have you do them. That being said, I know the exams are difficult, so I've written practice exams. There is a practice exam for each and every chapter. Do them as many times as you wish. Each and every exam question is taken from the practice exams. What you see is what you get. That's why you cannot simply print them out and use them as notes. You could ace the exam, using your notes. I want you to ace the exam. And some people say, well, I can memorize. Well, good. Good. Memorize it. Get it into your noodle. Take the practice exams over and over and over. Between reading the chapters and the practice exams, you will do well on the exam. And if you don't, there's makeup work, extra credit. You can take the exam. Say you bomb it, you get a 40%. By the way, that's 4 points. 4 points is better than no points. But say you get a 40. Say you get a 20. Don't panic, because if you take that and don't simply cut and paste it, but grade it, tell me what you got wrong and what the right answer is, and a little blurb explaining, why that's the correct answer. I will raise your grade. If you get a 20, I'll raise it all the way to 70. You need to put it in the drop box marked extra credit exam 1 or 2 or 3, but I give you the opportunity to raise them. Now, my experience has been that the only people who really utilize the extra credit are the flaming type A personalities who they got a 97 and they want 100. And they have complained in the past, and they've said, but Dr. Myers, why can't we get extra credit? And I thought it over, and I thought, well, they're right. They should be able to get extra credit. And so here's what I do. If you got a 90 and you do the extra credit and you turn it in, I will raise you up to a 95. If you get an 80 and I will raise you all the way up, to a 90. If you get a 70, I will raise you to an 80. But if you get over a 95, don't turn the extra credit. I'm not going to raise anything over a 95. But extra credit is for everyone. And if you need it, use it. It's there for you. Discussion questions. The student will answer the discussion questions or the exercises for review assigned for each chapter. That being said, all you need to do, don't do all of them. That would take way too long. 2 questions per chapter. So that means you're going to be turning in 2, 4, 6, 8 questions per section. Now, in the past, students have just turned them in. I need you to mark them, section 1, chapter 1, question 3, or whatever, and then question 4. It makes it easier for me to grade them. But so you're going to be turning in 8 questions. I expect you to be very thorough. You do not need to utilize any specific system of citation. It doesn't need to be an APA format, but I do expect clear, concise paragraphs. Each of these assignments should be between 3 and 4 pages, double-spaced. Some of you will turn in way more than that. But if you turn in less than that, I'm going to mark the assignments down. Some of you in this course are English as a second language, and I understand that. But I still expect your English grammar to be good. I will mark them down if the grammar is poor. The other thing is I've had them in such dreadful shape in the past a couple of times that I could not make out what the student was trying to say. And so I just said, you need to resubmit this. English, grammatically correct, paragraph format, no slang, no texting, you know, uh, grammatically correct English. I guess that's enough said there. So at any rate, discussion questions. Each sheet is worth 5 points. And so that means section 1 is worth 5, section 2 is worth 5, section 3 is worth 5. So the total is 15% of your final grade. Writing project, 30%, 30 points. This is due on 12 October. 12 October. Now, I expect this to be between 7 and 9 pages, no more than 9, no less than 7 of content. That doesn't count your title page, your abstract, or your works cited page. So 7 to 9 pages of content. This is APA format, and I've linked a couple of articles and templates. You know, you'll go to the Purdue OWL website if you need help with APA formatting. I'm available to talk to you about it. I'm available. They offer occasionally courses at either BSU or NTC on APA. It's just a seminar. It's free. And if you take it, I will give you 2 points, 2 extra points of extra credit. But at any rate, APA format, 7 to 9 pages. APA is always double spaced, by the way, so don't get too shook up about the length of the paper. 7 to 9 pages, double spaced. You're going to need to cite at least 3 sources other than the textbook within the body of the paper. Again, correct grammatical English, good sentence structure. I will put a rubric up that will help show you what I'm going to mark off for. But don't panic too much about the paper. If you do excellent research, that makes up the bulk of the points. The only time I've ever seen a student fail this paper is when they don't turn one in. Each and every one of you is capable of doing an excellent job on this paper. I know this because I've been teaching at NTC for 9 years, and I've never had a paper that was an F if there was any effort put into the paper at all. In fact, the last few years, I haven't had a paper lower than an 80 if any effort was put into it at all. There, don't sweat the paper, but get it started early, and you must turn one in to pass the course. It's automatic failure if you don't turn in a paper. Let's see. Exams open for a week. They open on a Monday, they close the next Monday. So 7 through 14 September, Exam 1 covers chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. Opens at midnight, closes at 11:59 the next week. So you've got 7 days to take the exam at your convenience. No proctor, as I said already, is necessary. Open book, close notes. Your next exam is due 21 through 28 September. Covers chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. And your last exam is open from 5 to 12 October. 9, 10, 11, and 12. The textbook is 16 chapters, but there's no way you're going to cover that in 8 weeks. In fact, I can't cover that in 16 weeks. And so you're getting the same thing that my students get in course. And that being said, I'm teaching this course on Thursday evenings, 6 o'clock until 8:55 at NTC. And any of you is welcome anytime to show up and sit in on the course. I welcome you. I encourage you. But at any rate, those are the dates of the exam. Paper is due on Monday, 12 October. Your reading and assignment schedule, 14 September. The student will have read chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. Discussion questions are due at this time, and so the discussion board will close at that time. 28 September, section 2. 12 October, section 3. Term paper due 12. Everything pretty much is going to need to be turned in by the 12th of October. Reading report is due at that time. Invariably, one of you will turn a reading report in after the first week. That's not when it's due. You need to turn the reading report in at the end of the course. Now, that being said, there are a couple of sections, you know, if you were on D2L, and you are, but you go to, on the welcome board, you'll see my welcome message. You'll see a link to the instruction video. You'll see the weekly attendance board note. Each of you, in addition to making your 3 posts per section, minimum of 3 posts per section. Oh, I forgot to add. Discussion boards are so important. I expect, again, you start one and you reply to 2. Needs to be complete sentences. None of this, oh, I completely agree with you. No, you need to express a full thought or idea. And I don't want to see a whole bunch of, oh, the reading's horrible. The reading's terrible. It was too hard. I don't want to see that. I'm sorry. I know it's hard. But this is a 3-unit college course in philosophy. Philosophy reading is always difficult. And you'll discover that if you take any actual courses in philosophy. But the other thing is, each of these discussions, the total are 5 points per section. Now, 3 points for making your 3 posts. And if you make 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 posts, wonderful, but you only get graded on 3. The other thing is, the other 2 points come from reading. You need to read each and every post. If you read 2 posts out of 45, guess what? You get 0 of the last 2 points. And so students will tell me, well, I turned my 3 posts in, what's up? And it's like, well, you didn't read. And I can tell if you've read it. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Forrest Gump, bad imitation. Also, if you want an extra 5 points, write a summary of chapters 13 through 16. And that's worth an extra 5 points, but it's got to be good, and it's going to be, 4 to 5 pages long. And so, but think about that. That's a possibility. All right. If you go and you'll click in materials and you will see content, and you click on the content section. Oh, instructor info, a little info about me, this video, and the syllabus and the schedule. Then you go down to assignments and instructions for exercise for review, instructions for the term paper, instructions for discussion board, instructions for examinations, instructions for required reading, and instructions for extra credit. Chapter PowerPoints. I've included the PowerPoints for each and every chapter in the book. And for those of you who don't have your textbook yet, and a couple of you won't, although I'm telling you, they are available at the BSU bookstore. I checked yesterday, and they've got plenty. And they also are the ones that supply it to distance students. So, but if you don't have it, I've included the first 4 chapters of the textbook. Don't ask me. I can't include 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's illegal. I can only include, a couple of chapters. But I've got the first 4 chapters there for you, so you won't fall behind while you wait for your book. Then, click on lectures and videos. Guess what? I have filmed the lecture portion for each chapter, up through 12. So watch it. Hopefully it will help you. And then some helpful term paper resources. An article on how to write an abstract, an article on the Purdue OWL website, and then the APA template. I think that breaks everything down. The only other thing that I'd like to talk about would be you contacting me if necessary. So if you go back to the syllabus and schedule and you click on it, you will see my cell phone number. Imagine that. And my email address. Now, I check email several times a day. I also can receive texts. Yes, I know I'm old, but I do know how to text. And I have a smartphone. Imagine that. I even have I have an iPhone and I have an iPad. Imagine that. An old man with technology. But to be truthful, this old man has used computers since they first became available. Uh, Back in 1979, I had an Osborne, which was one of the very first um, laptops, but it was so heavy and so big. It was like one of the early smartphones. I had a Palm Pilot phone that looked like one of those things you'd use in the Korean War, to call down an airstrike. Um, and it, but I had one. And so, at any rate, call me, to quote the immortal Kim Possible, call me, beat me if you want to reach me. Um, Students don't like to call. And when they do, the first thing they say is, I'm sorry to bother you. Listen, I have a job because of you. If it wasn't for you, I would not have this wonderful job. And so thank you. And my time is your time. Don't call me on Sunday mornings between 9 and 1 because my main job, I'm a pastor and I'm in the pulpit. But if you do call, I'll get the message and call you back after 1. But normally I answer my phones right away. Now, I have a lot of classes this semester, so if I don't get back to you instantly, never fear, I will get back to you the same day. But call me, text me, email me. If you have a question, first of all, I would ask, read D2L. I believe that I've done a very thorough job of setting the course up. I haven't found any mistakes, although you probably will. What I hate is when I take a course and the instructor is using a template that is from 3 years ago and they don't update dates or times, or I try to avoid that. I try to keep it fresh. But you may find one. If you do, email me and I'll get it fixed right away. But other than that, read it. I think I've answered 99% of most students want to know when is this due, when is that due. But you may have a question on formatting, or you may have a question on topic for your term paper. I'm more than happy to discuss it with you. Again, my time is your time. That being said, have a wonderful semester. Uh, I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to reading the discussions. I don't always post in the discussions, but rest assured, I've read each and every one. Occasionally, I'll interject, but this is your course. Now, if you have a question you want to ask and you want to address it towards me, do it. Test me. See if I'm actually reading them. I assure you I am. But I look forward to interacting with you. Have a wonderful, wonderful semester.